Hello, you travelers and explorers. Welcome back to Nerdy Geeks React. My name is Rhett, and I am a nerdy geek trying to react. If you're new here, welcome. Today, we are continuing my first trip to New York City with the final day, day 3. First thing in the morning, we went to Flushing Meadows Corona Park in Queens. Then I took a solo trip to Chelsea Market, the High Line, and Hudson Yard. And then in the evening, I got to watch my very first Broadway show. If you enjoyed my New York content, please do like and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out. And this is the last New York video, but if you are interested in knowing when I drop my other content, go ahead and hit the notification bell down below. Okay, let's go ahead and finish my first time experience in New York City with day 3. Since day 2 was pretty tiring, day 3 started a little slower and later in the morning. And since we were in Queens, we decided to take some time to take a look at Flushing Meadows Corona Park, which was only about a 30-minute walk from where we were staying. The park is fairly big. I mean, not Central Park big, but big enough. The New York Mets home stadium, Citi Field, is there. And so is the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, where the US Open was recently held. It was also where the World's Fair was held in 1939 and again in 1964. Now, the main reason I wanted to visit was to see the Unisphere, because of course my geeky self did. I remember seeing it in Men in Black 1, and briefly in Men in Black 3, and Captain America: The First Avenger. When I finally did see it in person, I was actually surprised at how big it was. I don't know why, but I always thought it was smaller. Maybe because in my head I was comparing it to Universal Studios Globe, which is significantly smaller. But anyway, it was really cool to see, especially it being larger than I thought. This thing was massive, which just made me think that putting it together must have been a really impressive feat back in 1939. And then, close by the Unisphere were the observation towers for the New York State Pavilion. Turns out the saucers at the top are actually spaceships. At least they are in Men in Black. They look to be under some kind of renovation while we were there, so they had scaffolding all over them. I guess the flying saucers needed maintenance or something. So, after satisfying my geekiness a bit, I decided to head off on my own into Manhattan as my friend had previous obligations to fulfill. Walking to the station, saw some of the environment they had around the park, the trees, some flower gardens. It was really nice. I would have liked to wander around the place more, but I had places to go. I decided to check out Chelsea Market, so taking the subway by myself for the very first time, I was on my way. After arriving at my intended destination, I noticed another building across the street. It's been about 2.5 years since I worked at Google, but it was still a little bittersweet to see the office there. Now, wandering around Chelsea Market was pretty neat. Like my friend told me, it was kind of similar to the public market in Emeryville, which I'm not even sure what kind of shape that place is in these days. I just remember a lot of different food places used to be there. Anyway, Chelsea Market did have quite a variety of food places too, but there were also a lot of shops. From candy and chocolate, to clothing and trinkets, bakeries and eateries, to cafes and bars. It was around lunchtime when I arrived, and there were a decent amount of people around the place, so I ended up not staying there very long. I only explored the first floor, but I know there was at least one more level of shops and food I could have explored. I'd like to go back someday and see some of the other places there that I neglected to check out. But what I did see was pretty cool. From Chelsea Market, I noticed that the High Line was nearby, so I decided to go ahead and take a walk along it. Though before I got very far, I noticed a building in the distance that reminded me of Stark Tower or Avengers Tower in the MCU. So, naturally, I stopped to get pictures. And when I was done, I continued my walk. So as I was going to say before Avengers Tower distracted me, I didn't really know what the High Line was when I heard about it, just that it was a nice walk. So I found out that it's like a raised walkway park that runs from the meatpacking district to the West Side Yard and is almost like a 1.5 miles long. It's really cool. It reminded me a lot of Central Park. I mean, it's smaller, of course, but it has, trees and plants and flowers and grass along parts of it. There are also sculptures and murals and other objects scattered around. And then there were the people. There were all manner of people walking along the High Line, just like there were in Central Park. And again, I was amazed by the variety. Since the High Line is a fairly narrow walkway, you're constantly near other people compared to Central Park, where it's, far more spaced out and you're not, getting close to anybody. But as I walked, I wondered how many of these people were locals, how many were from out of state, how many were from out of country, because you really can't tell. You'll be walking along and hear multiple different languages being spoken, or English in different foreign accents, or in different American accents. The diversity of people in New York City is pretty huge, so it's pretty crazy. So I just walked along the High Line, enjoying the sights and the people. Eventually, I reached Hudson Yard and decided that was a good place to leave the High Line. Hudson Yard was a neat place. Again, somewhere I knew very little about. There's a high-end mall there. But I thought the Vessel was really cool. It's this building that looks kind of like a pine cone, sort of. And apparently you climb it and get some really great views of the city and the Hudson River. I guess it used to be free to go in, but after many incidents occurred, they needed to pay for more safety features, and so began charging admission. And seeing that this was my third day in New York and my legs were already unhappy with me, I didn't want to pay to punish them even more by walking up this thing. So I stayed on the ground. After a quick look around, I decided to head back to the hotel to get some rest. And seeing that it was close by, I figured I'd go and walk by Madison Square Garden on the way. I mean, unlike Jackie Chan, I'd never dreamed to Square Marvin.
I always dreamed to Square Marvin.
But it was still really cool to see. And as I was walking towards Madison Square Garden, in the distance I could see what was once the tallest building in the world. The Empire State Building is one of those landmarks that people think of when they think of New York City. It's pretty iconic and has shown up in plenty of movies and television. Most notably for me, in King Kong. Yes, both the original 1933 version and also Peter Jackson's version in 2005. And also Sleepless in Seattle. Yes, again, different kinds of movies. I'm a geek. I didn't really want to walk all the way to the building as I wasn't going to go in anyway. And being in front of it wasn't going to give me a better view, standing at the bottom looking up, so I decided this was good enough for now. Someday I'll go inside and go to the top, though I doubt anyone will be waiting for me. From there, I swung by 34th Street to take a look at Macy's. No miracles happened while I was there, unfortunately, but I did wonder what it would be like to be there for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I imagine it would be ridiculous. Maybe not as crazy as New Year's Eve in Times Square, but still pretty crazy. I went back to the hotel for a while to grab a quick bite and to get some rest, because that evening I was going to see my first Broadway show. It wasn't what I was expecting my first Broadway show to be. I figured it would be something like Phantom of the Opera, Les Miserables, Hamilton or the Book of Mormon. No, something like that. But nope. Being very appropriate to my nerdy geekiness, my first Broadway show was Stranger Things, The First Shadow. If you're not familiar with Stranger Things, I highly recommend it if you like Stephen King and 80s supernatural horror vibes. But for those who are familiar, this show is a prequel to the series and focuses on the character of Henry Creel. But there are appearances by many of the characters from the show, such as Bob Newby, and also some new characters we've never seen before. I really loved this play. I mean, if you like the television show, you'll likely enjoy this play. The performances were amazing and really spot on. The performer for Henry Creel, Victor de Paula Rocha, did an incredible job, I thought. I guess he's like the understudy for the role, but yeah, he did great. And like so many of the other performers, if you know the characters from the show, these performers just nailed the characters so well. It was incredible. I was left wondering how they were going to implement the lore they introduced in the play into the show because, wow, it got crazy. I hope they do manage to put some of it into the show because it's some really cool stuff. And I hope the play will become available to watch in other formats. I know, it's a play and it should be seen live, but I would like to see it again, even if it's on a television or a computer screen. And that was pretty much it for my first time in New York City. After we finished watching the show, we decided to head
back to Queens,
since I had to be up super early to catch my morning flight back home. I was sad to be leaving, but I had a blast the entire time I was there, and I ended it with an awesome show. Okay, so that's it. The last day of my first trip in New York City. It was so much fun. I just wish I had the time to explore some places more in depth and to see more sights around the city. I would love to actually go to the Statue of Liberty or go to the top of the Empire State Building or see all of Central Park. I want to try new foods. I want to go to the museums. I want to go to the New York City Public Library. I just want to see everything. Hopefully, I'll be able to go back someday and do all of these things that I missed out on. But until then, I hope you did enjoy watching my first time experience in New York City. And if you did, please do like and subscribe to the channel, would really help us out. And though it will be a while before my next travel video because I don't travel much, if you want to know when I drop any of my other content, hit the notification bell down below. And if there's anything you want to see me react to, a movie, a show, some random video, go ahead and leave that in a comment, and I will see if it's something I can react to. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, my name is Rhett, and I am a nerdy geek trying to react. See ya!